consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Once again, thank you very much for joining the call today. I welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who will have joined the call this morning?
हरे कृष्णा नंद प्रियानंद नर्मदा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. All glories to assembled devotees. This is Krishna Smita Devi Dasi from Charlotte, North Carolina, in your humble.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Smita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances unto your lotus feet and to everybody who's joined in the class. This is Haridada from Fairfax, Virginia, Washington. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hari Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radharani Devidasi from Baltimore. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radha from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all glories to Sri Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all glories and Dandavat Pranam. I'm Charana Lakshmi from Nisha. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Charana Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nanda Priya Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to the assembled devotees. My Dandavat Pranam to you. This is Aditi Devi Mataji from Canada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. This is Yashamati from Chicago, Naperville.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Meena from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Meena Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Mataji, shall we start the recording, Mataji? Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavanand Prabhu on the call to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 13th chapter, 13th sloka. Before handing over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to ask Induleka Mataji to go ahead with introduction and sloka reading. Mataji, please take over the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna, all devotees. Thank you all for joining. So Keshavanand Prabhu is already on the call. I'll just quickly do the introduction. Dr. Keshavanand is a professional doctor and a monk. Since the last 20 years, he has conducted extensive research and authored books in the field of science and spirituality. He feels the rift between science and spirituality must disappear to bring peace in the world. If spirituality is superstition and a myth, science is materialistic and atheistic. A new approach to life is needed today that can bring the best of both. Science must re-embrace spirituality and be humble to admit its defects, flaws, and ignorance. And spirituality must base itself on sound, scientific, and rational ideas. Dr. Keshavanand Prabhu found this new approach in the Sanskrit sutras of the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita. For decoding the Sanskrit sutras of the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita, he studied Sanskrit and Western and Indian philosophy. Besides Sanskrit, he also learned Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, and Kannada to know about other traditions. His persistent endeavors in the field of science and spirituality has enabled him to come up with seminars on diverse topics like science and the Vedas, mind and machines, science fails to explain life, consciousness and beyond, etc. He has presented in various colleges in India, Europe, and America. Under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, he has also started a Gurukul, a traditional system of Vedic education in Punjab, India, where children will learn the ancient Vedic culture and values. Besides, he has started a farm community. The community has a traditional way of living with mud huts and thatched roofs, with cows and, of course, farming. The communities will set a model for the world to show how to live a life based on the principles of simple living, high thinking. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, would you like us to read the verse or do you want to go ahead and do that? Prabhuji, you're muted.
Yeah, I think please go ahead and please read the verse.
Okay, so I'll just share the screen. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.13.13. Anyonya vita vyati sangha vriddha vairanu bandho vivahan mithascha advainya amyusmin krichravita badhopasargair viharan vipanna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Due to monetary transactions, relationships become very strained and end in enmity. Sometimes the husband and wife walk on the path of material progress, and to maintain their relationship, they work very hard. Sometimes, due to scarcity of money or due to disease conditions, they are embarrassed and almost die. Purport: in this material world, there are many transactions between people and societies, as well as between nations. But gradually, these end in enmity between the two parties. Similarly, in marriage relationship, monetary transactions are sometimes overpowered by the dangerous condition of material life. One then becomes diseased or monetarily embarrassed. In the modern age, most countries have developed economically, but due to business exchanges, relationships seem to be strained. Finally, wars are declared between nations, and as a result of these upheavals, there is destruction all over the world, and people suffer heavily. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for giving your very valuable time and association towards this morning. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं. Oh, sorry, I'm speaking English. So we're reading 5th canto. What's this verse? 5.13.13. This is the verse we are reading, and I think you all got it. I don't think so. There's no need to show this verse. I will speak. So what is happening in this verse is Jad Bharat is trying to explain Rahugan Maharaj about the forest of material life. That's what he's talking about. Now, obviously, the chapter's name is, I think, Forest of Material Life. So he's trying to give an analogy. He's trying to explain, first of all, that material life is a forest. And so daily we sing in the morning, Samsara Dava Nananidha Loka. So Samsara, this material word, is on forest fire. So many times in Srimad Bhagavatam, material word is compared to forest. The question is why? Why? Because forest is a dangerous place. Simple. We don't go in forest and live. Anybody who has seen forest, it is dangerous, especially at night. And especially there are so many wild animals. There are swamps. There are mosquitoes. Then food, poisonous plants. Unexpected things happen in forest, like forest fire. Prabhupada says in one of his lecture that nobody lights fire in the forest. It automatically happens. Similarly, in this material world, nobody wants anxieties, but automatically anxieties will be generated. Automatically, and especially in this verse, this is what is mentioned. The husband and wife, they're living together happily, but suddenly problems arise in their relationships due to monetary transactions. Or nations are living happily, China-India relationship may be fine, but then suddenly they start fighting on the border and there's tensions. So anything can happen at any time in this material world. That's what this material world is all about. That's why material world is compared to forest fire. This is very important line which I mentioned. Anything can happen at any time. And we must remember this line. Otherwise, we'll become completely full of anxiety, completely frustrated, as Jad Bharat is mentioning. He's saying sometimes people become embarrassed due to lack of money, and they almost die. Husband and wife, they don't have money, and then they become embarrassed because of people. They don't have prestige, they don't have money, they don't have car, they don't have things to buy. Their prestige goes down, and then they die. Maybe they might not die morally. People in this world, I mean to say, you might say, people are not dying. Because if you see stats medically, what's that called? Death rate has reduced. And life expectancy has increased because we have conquered many diseases, epidemics, and this and that, and so forth. So who is dying? Life has become more advanced, more happy. We have more facilities. So it seems that Jad Bharat is impractical, but it's not like that, because you might not die physically. You might not become diseased physically, but you can become diseased mentally. That's why psychiatric problems are increasing. Life expectancy has increased, but psychiatric problems, anxiety, stress has increased. And you might not die physically, but at the same time, you might die morally. What about that? People are dead morally. That's what Vyasadev said. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. Everybody's Shudra. That means everybody is. Oh, Hare Krishna, somebody is unmuted. So that means everybody is dead morally. And then also, of course, everybody is spiritually dead. That's what Srila Prabhupada defines Shudra as, who is not interested in spiritual life. Nobody is interested in spiritual life in this world. So people are dead. And that's what this verse is talking about. Sometimes they die. They become embarrassed. They die because due to lack of money. They might die physically. They might die morally. They might die spiritually. They might die emotionally. People become dead emotionally. They don't have money, then they become frustrated from inside, and they're emotionally they're fully torn apart, and they're dead. And then finally, some people do suicide. That's what is happening. So that's why material world is compared to forest fire, and that is why we should remember this point. Anything can happen at any time. Now let's see. So is there any evidence for this? Anything can happen at any time in Bhagavad Gita? Is there any verse for this? Where Krishna is saying anything can happen at any time. Is there any verse in Bhagavad Gita? There should be. Of course, Krishna defines material world as dukhalyam ashashpatam. That is anything can happen at any time. If you really look carefully and fine-tuned way, dukhalyam ashashpatam, anything can happen at any time. Because why? Krishna says this is a place full of miseries. Nobody wants miseries. Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto. Everybody wants happiness, but nobody wants miseries. But miseries come anyway. So anything can happen at any time. That's the point. Ashashvatam, this place is temporary. The concept of temporariness carries this another concept that anything can happen at any time. Is it? Because it's temporary. You have created a beautiful situation around your life, a comfortable situation, but it can break at any time. The material world is all about make and break. That's all. Make and break. You keep on making, time keeps on breaking. So we should be ready for, actually not ready, but we should know that this is what is meant. This is what is reality. If we accept reality, we'll be happy. That's what Jad Bharat is saying to Rahuban. Why did we accept reality? Why are you living in illusion? In illusion, people think everything is under my control. Aham karta, aham bhogi karta, ramiti manyate. I am the doer, everything is under control. I will make my life comfortable. I will never become diseased. I will never become disturbed. And I will act in such a way so that everybody is happy with me and I am also happy. We have our ideas, but it doesn't happen. People, Jarbara is talking about husband and wife here. So before marriage, every girl and every boy thinks we will live nicely. Girl thinks we will have my husband, I will have my 2 children, we'll have nice home. Husband will think I will take care of my wife very nicely and this and that, but it doesn't turn out like that. Everybody knows reality. Everything is something else happens, am I right? So what to do? That's the idea. What is Jad Bharat trying to convey to Raghugan Maharaj? In this whole chapter, this central theme he wants to convey, and he wants to make us remember is this world is a dangerous place. Remember that. Srila Prabhupada always he talks in his purport. Again and again, this is a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place. We don't realize it because we have made our lives in such a way so that we don't feel the danger. That's another illusion we have created around us. Right? We have made all security checks around us. This happens, I'll do this. This happens, I'll do this. Future security, my money in bank and this and that, LIC. And householders always tense about future security. What will happen in future? Let's do this. Let's do this. My children's future, my health future, my health insurance, and this. Now I'm safe. In fact, this is you are creating illusion yourself. You're yourself creating illusion around yourself. In fact, that's why actually you see it's very easy to talk about this material world is dangerous place, but very few of us realize it's a dangerous place. I mean to say that about having realization it's a dangerous place. We have made our lives in such a way so that we forget it's a dangerous place. We have made arrangements in a life. We are so expert to make arrangements to make us forget it's a dangerous place. Otherwise, how can we be happy in this material world? It's impossible. Anybody who's happy in this material world is insane. That's another point. That's what Rishabdev says. Anybody who is happy in this material world, he's insane. He's mad. Of course, externally we have to show that we are happy. But inside we should not be. We should never be happy in this material world. If it's a dangerous place, how can you be happy? Can you be happy if you're lost in the forest? But we forget all these things. Why? Why do we forget? It's a dangerous place. Why do we forget it's a temporary place? Why do we forget all these things? Because we have made our lives, we have surrounded ourselves with all the objects and all the people and all the money we can, so that we forget it's a dangerous place. What an illusion we have made. We have created ourselves. What an illusion. That's a tragedy. Maya is not responsible for our malady or our tragedy. We are responsible. We are doing this. And that's why you see all great souls like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In fact, before I tell that, Krishna says in Mahabharata, I was telling the other day, he says, a great soul, who is a great soul and who is an average man, who is a great man, who is an average man. He says a great man is always at extremes. A great man will either feel intense happiness or he will feel intense suffering. He will not be in a comfortable zone. Some happiness, some suffering. Okay, it's tolerable. Let's go. It's not like that. Prabhupada, intense happiness, ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. And intense suffering, heart attack, and whatnot. Pandavas, intense happiness, association of Krishna. And intense suffering, forest, 14 years in forest, banished, Raubdi, disrobed Bhima. He was like, sorry, Bhishma and Malab Pandavas. They wanted to, so many times Kauravas plotted to kill them. Always remember this sutra. Very nice sutra. Krishna says, keep yourself in positions where you're extremely happy and extremely suffering. Don't remain in middle. Although we say middle path, but if you want to become great man, that's all. If you want to become a great devotee, if you want to become average devotee, okay. Be comfortable. Chant your rounds, do Mangal Aarti, go to Sunday program, have prasad, listen to Zoom lectures, and your life is going on. That's okay. Not much to do. But if you want to be a great devotee, why do we want to be great devotees? To actually do some, exceptional service for Krishna. Or maybe substantial service, not maybe exceptional, but substantial service to Krishna. If you want to do that, then you have to follow the advice of Krishna. In fact, you see this, I was reading about this Karna. He was really frustrated at one. So he was really frustrated at so one point of time. He was thinking. So Krishna came and met him, and so Krishna was saying, you know what, I'm completely frustrated. Krishna asked, what happened? So Krishna said, you see, my life is not settled. I mean to say, I'm there with Kauravas, and I'm away from my wife. Karna had wife and child. What was Karna's child's name? What was his name? I'm forgetting what was his name. I think his name was Atiratha. Yeah, I think his name was Atiratha, and his wife's name I forgot. I'm forgetting. Anyway, so he was saying, I'm away from my child and my wife, and living in with Kauravas in here, and my parents, my mother, I am away from her, and within Kauravas, I'm always being disgraced by Bhima, Bhishma, Dronacharya. They're always criticizing me. They're always calling me Sutputra. So even here within Kauravas and Pandavas, they're fighting, and I'm not settled here. And even I even don't know my real mother. What about that? So he was, Karna was saying, my life is changing so fast, and I'm completely frustrated. So Krishna said to Karna, you think so big things, and you want to bring a change in the entire world by your character, by actually changing Kauravas, Pandavas, whatever you want to do. You want to bring a big change in this material world, and you are fearful of change. A person who wants to bring change in this material world, he's fearful of change. Then how will he bring change in this material world? It's a very important instruction. So we are actually so fearful of change in our life, right? Everything is settled, everything is going, my children, my wife, my husband, my house, everything is. Anything just goes up or down, we are disturbed. Or even for full time, everything is nice, I'm doing my service, everything is happy. So one day something happens and the devotee is completely disturbed. Why? And then devotees say, oh, we want to change the entire world. We want to make this Krishna consciousness. We want to change the entire world, but you are fearful of small changes. Then how will you bring change? You're crazy crap or what? You see, this is called bewilderment. This is what is called bewilderment. This is called illusion. We want to bring change. We are fearful of change. We read its material world is dangerous place, but we make ourselves secure. We read that this material world is full of miseries, but we want to be comfortable. What is this? Unam pramattah kurute vikar. People are mad, including devotees, all of us. Not all of you, maybe myself. I think I'm mad. I don't know about you all. But I'm doing those things which are not supposed to be done. We daily read in scriptures, and we are doing those things which are not to be done. We're doing those things which are, we hear things, but we are not supposed to do that, but we are doing things. And we're not just doing things, we are building palaces around our life. So what to do about this? The first step is you have to first get out of the illusion. The cocoon, we say cocoon, small cocoon, get out of that. Try to come in reality. Don't make your life comfortable. You will repent later. Don't make your life comfortable. It's always good what Krishna says. First, whatever is nectar first, later it's poison. Whatever is poisonous first, later it's nectar. Don't make your life comfortable. That's what I was saying. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I mean to say, he didn't used to open windows, because he was saying that fresh air will come and I will fall into Maya. I will forget this material world is dangerous place. Of course, his example is a little extreme. We don't do like that. But at least we should have a concept like that in our life, am I right? If we don't have a concept like that, and if we have a totally opposite concept, then what do you do? That was a function of tapasya. What is austerity? Austerity means make your life not comfortable. That's austerity, am I right? Why? So that you don't forget that this material world is dangerous place. That is why it was suggested that don't make your life comfortable. That is why it is. What's happening? That is why it is suggested that don't make your life comfortable. Do austerities. Austerities are not to be done because we want mystic powers and blah blah blah. Austerities are done so that we remember this material world is dangerous place. That's why austerities are done. Because if we don't do that, we'll forget it. We'll forget everything. And it's very easy to forget. Place full of miseries and dangerous place. It's a forest fire. You see, after some time, it becomes a theory. I think for most of us, it's a theory. I myself personally frustrated because we know these things, but we don't know at the same time. This is the tragedy of my life. We know, but we don't. We know the whole Bhagavatam, but at the same time, we don't know. You know, entire Bhagavad Gita, but at the same time, we don't know. And we're trying to do those things which will make us permanently forget Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Actually, you know what? I'm convinced I'm mad. I don't know about it all. If you think you are not insane, that's very fine. As far as I'm concerned, we are mad actually. We are mad, and anybody who doesn't think he's mad, I think that is the what do we say? That is the pinnacle of madness. A mad person is thinking he's not mad. That's the height of madness, insanity. Am I right? So if you ask a mad person, he will not be able to answer you. Are you mad? He will not be able to answer you. He will be in his own world. He will answer bizarre. But if a person is diagnosed insane and he says, I am perfectly well, and you talk to him and he will talk nicely and he will do everything nicely, but he is diagnosed insane. So what do you call this person? Psychopaths. These are called psychopaths. Am I right? Who can behave normally, but they're insane. These are called psychopaths. These people are very dangerous people. Psychopaths. They kill others. Psychopaths, they do murders, they do all this kind of nonsense things. So I think we are all psychopaths, basically. We're all. I mean to say, how many times you have read in Bhagavatam? We don't need to read today's verse. Again and again, everybody's saying Puranjan Katha. He's saying Puranjan is also giving the same allegory, you know, forest allegory and a palace allegory, to actually make us realize it's a dangerous and miserable place. Jad Bharat is saying the same thing. Vidur said the same thing. Maitri said the same thing. Everybody is saying the same thing. And then what about us? Still we are so dull-headed. This is called Shudra. So the point is, I'm not saying that you have to now leave your house and forget everything. No, you have to have a right concept. That's very important. If you don't have a right concept, then obviously we are in illusion. What to talk about getting out of illusion? That's what Bhakti Siddhanta used to say. Externally behave like a gentleman, but internally have renunciation in your heart. Externally behave like a preacher, but internally you should be like Babaji's. Babaji's? Bhajnanandi? Bhajnanandi. Internally. Renunciation should be kept in your heart. And that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all these people. They were householders, they had 10 children, they were household people, but in the heart they knew, they never forgot these things. So they didn't get deviated from the bhajan and Krishna consciousness. Question is how to do that. That's the whole question, because we forget we're doing something else. Then suddenly we read something and then suddenly we remember, oh, we should not be done. What to do? I don't think so there is any permanent solution for this, because we will forget. But the only solution which I can think is, of course, Shravan Kirtan is there. Regular hearing is required, and regular chanting of holy names nicely, that's required. Otherwise, what we hear, we'll forget. Shravan Kirtan go together. But besides that, what we can do, because we are doing Shravan Kirtan. Of course, some people are not even doing Shravanam, a good quality Shravanam. We are generally, I mean to say, once in a while we hear from somebody, this material world is a dangerous place. Otherwise, everybody's talking, everybody's talking nice stories and nice things. Am I right? Everybody's into that. And Krishna consciousness is so nice. Krishna consciousness is nice. We don't say Krishna consciousness is nice. But Krishna consciousness can be appreciated as nice only when we have a contrast of this material world, which is not nice. You can appreciate daylight if you have night. Otherwise, you can't appreciate that. You can appreciate saints because there are bad people. If all are saints, then if everybody is saint, then what will happen? What's going to happen? Tell me, what's going to happen? Everybody becomes a saint on this earth. Now you might think it will be so nice, but no. If everybody becomes saint, then you will start fighting with each other because if everybody is saint, you will lose the value of sainthoodness, because everybody is saint. Everybody is nice, and then enviousness will come. He's better than saint. Why is better? some other dynamics will start, because we are in world of illusion. Of course, if everybody is Paramahamsa, then that's another thing. But that's an impossibility. Everybody is Paramahamsa except Satyuga. But when we say everybody is saint, like all of us, like suppose if you go to temple, everybody is a saint there. But still there's politics. Still there are problems. And then when ordinary people come, they say, well, we came to ISKCON or maybe Madhva Sampradaya, Ramanuj, whatever devotional Sampradaya we went, spiritual institution. We expected everybody will be nice and everybody is saint, but we see there's so much problem there. What is this? Because when there is enviousness. In fact, in heavenly planets, Srila Prabhupada writes, the only problem in heavenly planets is enviousness. There is no hunger, there is no thirst. Death is practically absent because they live very long lives. That's why even for demigods, the word used Amar, they are almost eternal people. There is no death, there is no old age. So then what's their enviousness? Of course, lust is there, but their lust is not a problem because they're allowed to be lusty. That's another thing. There's no reaction for that. Enviousness is a big problem. So you see the point there. So what's the solution? Good quality of hearing. Hear something which is balanced. Good quality of hearing. This is good quality of hearing. Jadabharat. Jadabharat is not telling you stories. There's a forest. There's some husband, wife, and they become distressed, and Raghugan, it's so nice. Practically he's saying, Raghugan, you're a fool. He practically is saying that, saying in these words, you're fool number one. So, so that way, what's the solution? Good quality of hearing, good quality of chanting, so that what we hear, we can remember. Don't try to finish your rounds. I mean to say, of course, if in the night some rounds are left, then finish them. But otherwise, that should not be routine. And along with that, what I think is a sankalp is required. Determination. Determination. What is sankalp? Wow. What is sankalp? What is sankalp called in English? In general terms, it's called determination. But we should. Wow. It's called wow. Wow, not wow. Wow. So yeah, it's wow. So we should take a wow. Well. That was that
affirmation.
Affirmation? No, exactly not. Sankalp is called wow. Yeah. Wow. Intention? No, it's wow. Sankalp is wow. Wow is a good, almost near to that. We should take a wow that we will never forget, that we will never enjoy this material world. Vow is required. Devarshi Narad, he said in Bhagavatam, Asankalpa Jayit Kama. By taking a vow, I will never enjoy this material world. You can conquer lust. Lust which makes you forget everything, that this place is a bad place, evil place. Everything starts appearing good. Actually, it's called vow. So, Drid Nishya is different from Sankalp. Drid Nishya is determination. Determination belongs to intelligence. Sankalp belongs to soul. So there is a little difference there. Determination is born of discrimination, rational and logic. But Sankalp is born of faith. Faith and intuition, which soul has in principle. So better to say wow. So just like in faith, definition of faith, Mahaprabhu says, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe, Sudhira Nishchay. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Faith is having Sudhira Nishchay. Faith is having determination, but faith doesn't have Sankalp. Sankalp is developed later by chanting. Soul becomes strong. Faith is the level of intelligence. We read scriptures, we understand we have faith. But soul is weak at that time. So that's why there's a difference between Sankalp and Sudhira Nishchay. So yeah, I think we have to remember these three things. Good quality of hearing, good quality of chanting, and Sankalp. And then we can always remember that this material world is full of miseries and a dangerous place. Otherwise, we'll forget. We'll forget. And of course, we should not take such steps in life which actually make us forget that this material world is a dangerous place. That decisions are very important. That's why Krishna says, anytime you want to decide, anytime you want to decide, just decide that, just take a decision, take decision which is actually not easy. Take a difficult decision always. Isn't it? Whatever nectar first, that is poisonous. Whatever is poisonous first, that is nectar. Yattu vishamagre. What is that? Parinam is Krishna says yattadagre vishame. Whatever is poisonous first, pariname tu amritam upam. At the end, it's nectar. So always takes decisions which are difficult. At least great people do that. Devotees do that. And that will please Krishna. We do everything to please Krishna. So that will please Krishna because Krishna says we should do that. And that will actually benefit you in your life. Because whatever is easy, that will turn out to be poisonous. It will actually harm you. Whatever is difficult, in the end, it will be nectarian. It will help you. It will give almost a permanent result, whatever you want to do. So that thing has to be done. So some kind of tips to remember that this material world is a forest. The forest life of the forest of material world. Some things to remember. Otherwise, we'll forget. That's why we sing in Mangalarti, Samsara Dava. We daily sing this material world is on forest fire, but we forget it. We forget all these things. We're daily singing in the morning. There's a forest fire. We are not just in the forest, but we are in a forest fire. That adds to the problem. We are first of all in a dangerous place, which is forest, and that's on fire of modes of material nature. That makes things more dangerous and more pitiable. And here we are enjoying. Now that Bhaktisanta used to give that story, no? That well story. So I think a tiger was behind a person. Tiger and mad elephants. He was in jungle and mad elephant and tiger, they were behind a person and he was running and he fell down into a well. And as soon as he fell down into a well, he was falling down into a well, but there was a tree branch he caught hold of it. So he was just hanging in the air. And in between the well. So on the top there is elephants and tigers ready to devour him. And below he saw there were snakes. So he couldn't even leave the branch. What to do? And then there were some rats, black and white rats, which were actually nibbling on the branch. So branch was about to break. So it shows for death. But there was a honeybee. What's that called, Shatta? Yeah, honeycomb somewhere on the tree, and a drop of nectar fell down on his forehead, and it slipped and it came here, and he licked. And he was so nice, and he was waiting for another drop. He forgot death. Death is above him, that is below him, that is all around him. He forgot everything. Beehive, yeah, that's called beehive. Honeycomb. Beehive. In India it's called honeycomb. Yeah. Beehive was there, and nectar fell down, and he forgot everything. Honey fell down. So that's a story, but that's our life. That's not a story for children to laugh about. That's we. That person who is hanging, that is we. We are hanging there, and we don't seem to understand anything. Even if his friend is shouting, "Come on, you fool! Why you're after this honey, this tiger, and this? Do something, escape." He's not listening to his friend. So these are Jada Bharat is a friend, well-wisher. Through Rahugan Maharaj is telling us, Krishna is our friend. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Through Gita is telling us. But we don't we don't listen actually. We blocked our ears. It's a tragic situation. What to do? We can weep, we can cry, but weeping and crying doesn't help. Krishna says in 11th canto, if you're lost in a forest and if you shout, nobody's going to listen to anything except trees. So there's no point of shouting and crying and weeping. The only way is find a way out. You might die in between while finding the way, but anyway you're going to die. Anyway you're dead if you're lost in forest. If you're in material world, anyway you're finished. There is no future. There is no bright future. Except if you're doing devotion. Of course, I'm talking about if you're lost. Anyway, so why don't we just give it up? And if you've got a way out, why don't you give a best try to walk on that way? There might be temptations, there might be seductions, there might be fall downs, but don't stop walking. Don't stop walking. There's a verse in the Gita. Apiche Suracharo Bhajate Mamanane Bhak. What's that verse? You don't know? Anyway, so yeah. So Krishna says there, if you try to look at that line from a different angle, Krishna is saying, no matter how much fallen you are, keep walking. 9:30, 9 chapter 30th verse. If you really think about it, Krishna says, no matter how much you've fallen, keep walking. Ananya bhajate maam ananya bhak. Keep walking. And if you do keep walking, I consider you as alive on the path of spirituality. You're still alive. You want to find a way out. That's called sadhu. Sadhu is a person who's alive. A sadhu is a person who's dead. That's where we started this verse. All right. People are dead, morally dead, emotionally dead. Sadhu is a person who's living. And a person who is alive, he's trying to find a way out of this dangerous situation. A person is not trying to find a way out of this dangerous situation. He is dead. Or he's mad. Two options, that's all. Sadhu is a person who is sane. In fact, actually, there is nobody called as sadhu. Because whom we call as saints in this material world, they are normal human beings. Everybody else is animal. We say we are humans, he's a saint. Actually, saintly life is a human life. Otherwise, everybody is animal. Duipat Pashu, Bhagavatam says, two-legged animal. So, a saintly life is a real human life. And that human means Athata Brahma Jigyasa, who is trying to find a way out of this forest and trying to find a way out to Brahman, to connect with God. That way will lead himself, that person, him or her, to God, and he will get connected with him. You see? Such nice concept. So please keep walking, don't get disheartened. Of course, the first point is you have to become disheartened. That this word is bad. And nevertheless keep walking. Then that is perfect. But if you think that there's a royal carpet to Golok and I'll keep walking, then you're foolish. A person who is walking, two person are walking in the forest. One person knows it's a forest and is walking. Another person has forgotten this is a forest and he thinks there's a royal carpet and everything is nice and I'll keep walking. There's a difference, am I right? There's a difference. One person is in illusion and eventually he will be killed on the way. Well, is everything nice? Everything is nice. There's no forest. So a tiger and a lion and a swamp, he will not care about them, and he will fall and he will be trapped by those or be eaten by those. But a person who is walking on the forest and he knows it's a forest, but nevertheless he keeps walking, there's a difference. He's alert, and that person who thinks it's a royal carpet, He's forgot everything. There's a forest. He's not alert. That's the difference between two of them. So we have to practice, keep on practicing Krishna consciousness with alertness. And that alertness means to always remember it's a dangerous place. That's the whole point. And if you're not alert, that's an offense. That's the offense against holy name. That's offense against holy name. To be inattentive while chanting, to be inattentive while not chanting also offense. Am I right? To be inattentive while chanting. So when you're not chanting, we'll not be attentive. Well, the first point is Prabhupada says you have to chant 16 rounds on the beats and innumerable rounds off the beats, isn't it? So to be inattentive while chanting means to be inattentive while your entire day, because you have to chant off the beats also in your mind. Keep on chanting. So you have to be attentive. What you have to be attentive of? You be attentive that you're chanting first. You have to be attentive that you're listening to the holy names. But you have to be also be attentive that you're chanting in a dangerous place. You're not chanting in a room with air conditioning where everything is nice. Don't forget that. Even if you're in a house where air conditioned, still your air conditioned your house is in a forest. You can be killed anytime. It's a false security. False security. You're under false security. So all these things are mentioned in this verse. And I think it's worthwhile to take heed of all these things, pay attention to all these things, and try to realize it. Ultimately, theory will not help anybody. If you want to read theory and if you don't want to realize, and if you don't want to do something to get realization, I mean to say you have to do something to get realization, all right? Just like when I was in my home, I used to think, full-time life, it's so difficult. But then in Bhagavatam, we used to read again, Ambarish Maharaj, he was Atma Nivedam, completely surrendered. Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavatam was saying, surrender completely and Krishna will take care. So I was thinking, I mean to say I'm reading, but how to realize it? Because in house, you don't know whether Krishna is taking care of you or not, because you are taking care of yourself. So I was thinking what to do. So I was thinking, so I have to realize this statement. If you are completely surrendered, Krishna will take care of you. Money will come, food will come. That's the whole thing. Automatically, without money, food and shelter will come. So I was thinking, okay, there's just one way to get this statement off from the book and in our heart. There's just one way: become full-time, leave everything and become completely surrendered, and then see whether you get food or clothes or not. Otherwise, how do you do that? There is no way. If you're in a house, you can cook and you have money, you can buy, and how will you get realization that Krishna will provide you food even without money? You have to put yourself in a situation where you don't have money and then the food comes. Otherwise, it's theory. So I don't know how householders will realize this statement. Complete surrender. I don't know what they will do, but at least for me, I became full time. Maybe Bhaktivinoda Thakur realized, yeah, they were householders. They had money, but they realized this. But then you have to become like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You can't be a hanky-panky devotee and get those big realizations in your cocoon, in your secure environment. That's not possible. Just forget it. Just forget it. You can't do that. You have to become like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You have to follow his footsteps. You read about him, what he was doing. You read about Prabhupada, what he was doing in his household life. And try to follow their footsteps. And then we can hope to actually achieve something in spiritual life. I mean to say Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they are not just there in the altars to just put flowers there. And the picture is so small. If you keep flower, the picture gets covered. So it's good we can't see them because flower is so big. They're not just there to see and offer lamp and arati. Come on, it's a joke if you just do this. Just do this. I mean, you can offer flower and arati. That's okay. That's nice. But the function of doing that is to actually respect him, his life, and his teachings, and try to imbibe that in your life. That's the function. That's why there's Guru Parampara in the altar. It's not just lying there. Otherwise, it's a ritual. What it's based. That's all. It's not completely waste because at least it's something better than nothing. But as far as getting out, escaping from this forest of material life, it's waste. You don't end up anywhere. If you don't understand what is the purpose of offering flower, what is the purpose of offering incense, why we are doing this activity, then it doesn't count anything. So like that. So I think
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, your voice is
the
breaking.
message is clear. Purpose is clear. And everything comes on personal following.
I think you are.
Oh, really? Now it's okay?
Yeah, now it's fine, Prabhuji.
Oh, suddenly it started breaking up. Okay, fine. Let's go for. So yeah, so we can't hear and see Prabhuji. Now we can hear or see what's happening.
Yes, Prabhuji. Now we can hear and see you.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
you can hear me.
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
we can hear you and we can see you, but the indicator says that, oh, okay, your internet is a little low. It's okay, it's better now. It's better now. It just changed. Sorry.
Okay. Maybe we can keep this phone outside or what? Now it's fine? Perfectly fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so I think now the onus falls on you. You decide in your life what changes in your life can you bring to get realizations of what you are reading. Without making change in your life, you will never get realizations. You might get at a particular point, but you'll get stuck up there. You have to bring some change in your life to get a change in your consciousness. Otherwise, if you don't bring change in your life, your consciousness remains the same. It's as simple as that. So you see what you can do. Maybe a small step, maybe a big step, doesn't matter. But keep taking steps higher and higher and higher. And don't fear any change. That's what I told you. Very important instruction. Don't fear change. If you want to bring change in consciousness, don't fear changing your life. Because nobody brings change without changing. That's obvious. That's logical. Okay, Jai. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anybody wants to ask anything? I'm done.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Actually, you have given us all the solutions for the problem. So thank you, Prabhuji. Devotees, if anyone has any questions, please raise their hands. Anuradha Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful, very awakening class. I would say for one part of the class, you were saying that this material world is not to be enjoyed. Totally understand. But also in Bhagavad Gita, doesn't Krishna says to Arjuna, if you fight, you will enjoy this life and you'll be happy in this life and the life after, means the journey onwards. So how do we reconcile these two, Prabhuji?
But so that's a false argument Krishna is giving. Just to make Arjuna fight. Prabhupada says, just to inspire him to fight, he's giving a false argument. That's not a true argument. That you will, if you fight, you will enjoy. So he's just inspiring him. So Prabhupada says that Krishna is giving him Karma Kanda philosophy to actually get the things done. That's all.
So can we say that when we come to Krishna consciousness, we are also told that, if we are chanting, feasting, eating and fun, Krishna consciousness, and that's how we come to Krishna consciousness, thinking that, we will enjoy material life better in Krishna consciousness than without Krishna consciousness. So that is also a false logic. Can we think that way? I mean, just to be aware
Of
ourselves.
course,
It's not
of
that
course, yeah. That's set to initial people. If you're in Krishna consciousness, you will enjoy material life. Both lives will be enjoyable. Everything will be happy. But it's not like that. When we advance, we understand. When we come to Krishna consciousness, we'll enjoy in Krishna consciousness, but material life will be completely destroyed. I mean to say, you will understand material life is not at all enjoyable. That's the ideal platform. That's to begin with. To people, I mean to say, not only, I mean to say, even to beginners, I tell that material life, you will never enjoy material life if you come in Krishna consciousness. I tell to beginners because let them hear truth right in the beginning. So anyway, like that. Bhagavatam tells the truth straightforward.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, and coming back to the same point, Prabhuji, so like, as you said, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that, externally you behave like others, but internally you remain renunciate, something on that line. So the Prabhuji, it is for like, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur could say and practice, but for a grihastha like me, when we are dealing with the kids, husband and other relatives, they get upset when you don't talk to them. And at the same time, being a Mataji, we cannot ruin our family life because we cannot be in a brahmachari ashram or on the street.
That's what I'm saying. Externally, you behave like a mother, like a wife, but internally you should be completely detached. Now that requires a good level of advancement of devotion, but you have to come to that level if you want to escape from birth and death. Otherwise, you will be born again in your family as your grandchildren or something.
Yeah,
so external that is difficult, but we have to learn. We have to learn that. Otherwise, I mean, say, in fact, even full-time devotee, we preach to so many people, and then we talk to them nicely, and we behave nicely. But internally, we know that everybody's a crap. I mean to say, you also. I'm talking to you all nicely, but internally, I know all you are mad people, including myself. I'm also mad. Because you don't want to follow what is said in Bhagavatam. I don't want to follow what is said in Bhagavatam. At least I don't want to follow 100%. So I'm mad. So, but externally, I don't keep on telling that you are all mad, and I talk to you nicely. And so, in fact, even now I'm behaving in actually two phases. Even now, what's that called? Yeah. So even now I'm acting in a schizophrenic way. So you have to learn that spiritual schizophrenia, spiritual by what's that called? Spiritual split personality, externally different, internally different. That is what was a teaching of Dharma. Dharma taught that, but because we don't have training of Dharma, so we find it very difficult. And that's why people have this stupid philosophy: whatever you're inside, you should be outside. Of course, that's one thing Prabhupada said in Bhagavad Gita, a definition of simplicity. Whatever you're inside, you should be outside. Otherwise, you're duplicitous. But that's in a very different perspective. That means your intention should be inside, outside, same. But as far as behavior goes, externally it should be different. Internally, your behavior should be different. I mean to say, externally we talk to normal people nicely. Isn't it? Jobs we talk to nicely. How are you? You're nice. He will say thank you. We'll say thank you. But internally we know he's nonsense rascal. Internally, we don't think he's a nice person. If you think like that, then you're an illusion. He's nonsense. He's a thief. So of course he's rascal, but then we have to help him somehow. What to do? So that you have to learn. You have to get around all these things. Otherwise, there's no way out. So we don't have training of Dharma. We don't have this training. So we have this stupid idea. Externally, internally, we are same. Internally, we are also thinking nice about you. Externally, nice about you. No, it's not like that. For a theist, externally we are talking nice, thinking nice, and we are showing we are nice, but internally we are saying, come on, where we are stuck, these nonsense people. At least as devotees, we can understand that. But then this concept goes in a whole life. Well, externally we are preaching to so many people, but internally we are completely detached. And that's what is a trap for full-time devotees. Or maybe preaching. We have congregation members, and then we become attached and say, my congregation, this and that. Then there are fights. Why? Because you have become attached inside also. Be completely detached. Somebody comes. If somebody goes. That's his free will. You do your best. If you have good stuff, they will be with you. If your shop doesn't have good stuff, they will leave. But then no, they are my people. So it's all over like that. So this is a stupid philosophy of this material modern world, and that's because everybody is adharmic. It looks good, but it's ultimately evil. So we have to learn how to lead a life in a sophisticated way. Sophisticated was a good term previously. In a dharmic way, so that we behave externally differently, we think differently, isn't it? And we might act differently. We have different behavior, different actions, different thoughts, different feelings, and all are together, so that we can benefit everybody. Because if you're acting and behaving everything in one way, then whole life is destroyed. So that's complex, but then you have to learn. And so as a Mataji, you know that. I mean to say, you're behaving with your husband differently, child differently, your father-in-law, mother-in-law differently, your father, mother differently. It's just so many roles to play. But we play in a society so many roles as a husband also, as a father. And the same thing we have to bring in spiritual life. But that needs training of dharma. But by reading Bhagavatam and doing devotion, we can learn that. But we should have that concept at least first.
Thank you,
Is it
Prabhuji.
okay?
So, yes, so when you're saying that we know they are not what they are, like what? Two things, Prabhu. One thing, that as you said, that we don't want to follow Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe we want to follow, but it seems difficult with the conditioning that each one of us come
No,
from.
it's not like that. That's illusion. That is called illusion. We want to follow, but it seems difficult. So that means I want to follow. So I'm a good Mataji because I want to follow, and I'm a good devotee. I want to follow. But the problem is it's difficult because my heart is weak. But you know what? My heart is weak, but I'm not weak. I want to follow. So that is called illusion ultimately. Actually, we have to understand we don't want to follow. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Durdaiva mihajani nanuraga. Oh my Lord, you have given so many holy names, but my misfortune, I don't have attachment. Mahaprabhu is not saying, I have attachment, but I cannot chant. Is he saying like that? Tell me. No. He's saying, I don't have attachment. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't have attachment. Come on. At least Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in humbleness should have said, I have attachment, but I can't chant. Am I right? But he said, I have no attachment. So it's in the same line. We don't want to follow. If we think we want to follow, then that's illusion. We don't want to follow. And that is because of that our heart is weak. You see the point? Why our heart is weak? Tell me. If we want to follow and our heart is weak, then why our heart is weak? Who is to be blamed for that? Maya? Or devotees? No, because we don't want to follow, that's why our heart is weak. If we want to follow, we will follow. That's all. Of course, there'll be some fall downs, there'll be temptations, but that needs little practice because we want to follow 100%. That comes slowly because we are not convinced that this life is the only life. The only way to escape from this material world is Krishna consciousness. We are not convinced, and that is why we tend to forget this. That is why we enjoy, we forget it's a dangerous place. That's a whole problem. So ideal statement is we don't want to follow. If you really look fine-tuned. In general, we say we want to follow. Actually, nobody says like that. We want to follow, but my heart is weak. A true devotee will never. A true devotee will say, I don't want to follow. I'm useless. Ya jani nanu ragha. I'm useless, Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for revealing the truth. So at the same time, when you said, Prabhu, that this is the last question that I have related to your answers, that when we know what others are, is it not a Vaishnava aparad when we judge others that, okay, this is not a nice devotee, this is not a nice devotee? Is it not a Vaishnava aparad, Prabhuji?
No, Vaishnava aparad, what is what, to know what is what, that's not Vaishnava aparad. Aparad, what's the meaning of aparad? Aparad means when you consider good devotee as a bad devotee. Am I right? If you say thief as a thief, then what's the offense? Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives an example. If we call thief a thief, it's an offense. It's not even offense by law. You're not. And he said it's good. He's a thief. So person who is bad, he's bad. Person who is nice, he's nice. Person to recognize reality, that's not an offense. Yeah, of course, to know that that devotee is a bad devotee or whatever, he's a bad person, but he's a devotee. And then to actually publish it on media, that's an offense. to actually what do we say? Defame him unnecessarily. That might be an offense, but to recognize what is what other. If you don't recognize, then how will you take good association? Everybody's nice, then we'll take association of everybody. Then we will become bad ourselves. Then what's the meaning of Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari? So what about that? Bhagavatam is Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. So we recognize who is Kanishta, who is Madhyam, who is Uttam, who is first class devotee, who is second class devotee, who is third class devotee. Is it offense? You might say, no, come on, Prabhu, you should not do that. He's third class devotee. Oh no, that is first class. Bhagavatam says to recognize it. So what do you do about that then? So we have to understand what is what. Otherwise, we'll fall down. We will 100%, because then we are trying to imitate Mahabhagavat. Mahabhagavat, they don't discriminate. Why? Because they're in trance. It's not that they don't discriminate. They lose the capacity to discriminate. There's a difference. They lose the capacity to discriminate because they're seeing Krishna every day. But we can't. We have the capacity to discriminate, so we have to use it in service of Krishna. Take good association and go forward. That's all. Finish.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I always has this doubt because I had asked some Mataji and she said, no, we are not supposed to decide who is good, who is not. And I always thought, but then in the scripture it says the Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari. How do we do that? I mean, not to misbehave with somebody, but whom association we should be in, whose association, to decide only on that.
Right, absolutely.
So yeah, thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Prabhuji, for revealing all the truth to us. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a good answer. Mataji, Sri Hari Radha Mataji, please go ahead with your question. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I just wanted to say that if we chant Hare Krishna and appreciate other devotees and other living beings, everything else will work out for our devotional service. And if we follow Bhaktivinoda Thakur ji, take his picture and chant do our daily 64 rounds in front of him, would that help our Krishna consciousness be successful?
No.
And if we chant 64 rounds, will we go back to Godhead in this very life?
No. Who said? Prabhupada didn't say you chant 64 rounds and I'll go back.
Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ji has said in his words that if someone chants 64, Navyogendra Goswami
No, he
Maharaj
didn't say this.
Also.
No, he said this. He said this, Bhakti Siddhanta, but he didn't really mean it because in his mutt nobody was chanting 64 rounds. In Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's mutt, even people are not chanting even 16 rounds. So then people ask, you are saying 64 rounds, he'll go back to Godhead, but in your mutt, in 64 Gaudiya mutt, nobody was chanting 64 rounds, nobody was chanting even 16 rounds. They were chanting just 1-2 rounds.
I'm asking.
No, that's what I'm telling you the answer. I am telling you the answer that although Bhaktisanta said that, but he was not doing that with his devotees. So then how do we understand that? Then Bhaktisanta said 64 round chanting is not chanting on beats just. He said that. Because somebody asked him, they asked him, see, you tell 64 rounds chanting, but nobody's chanting 64 rounds, full-time devotees and sannyasis are also not chanting 64 rounds in your mat. Then it's hypocrisy. Bhaktisiddhanta said that you can't see they're chanting 64 rounds, but I can see. The idea is, he said, you have to develop service attitude. Otherwise, even thousands of rounds will not work. It's waste. So what Bhaktisiddhanta said and he did, if you really try to understand that, and in fact, Srila Prabhupada also came to 16 rounds later. Then, but Prabhupada didn't go back to Godhead. Prabhupada came from there, of course. So, and he told us 16 rounds. So Srila Prabhupada cheated us that you chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada said, if you chant 16 rounds, you'll go back to Godhead. What about that? So then if we don't understand things properly, then everything will become confusion. That's what I'm telling. Everything will become contradictory.
So basically, even though someone chants 64 rounds, it does not matter unless they have service attitude, they're not going to go back to Godhead. That one thing.
Yeah, right,
right. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, if they have service attitude and they are chanting 64 rounds by the instruction of their Guru Maharaj, will they be going back to Godhead?
Okay, if the instruction of Guru Maharaj is there, 64 rounds, then that's fine. Instruction matters. Instruction is very important. Under whose instruction? Then go back to Godhead. But at the same time, at the same time, there are more instructions also of preaching or about that. So if you have time, you have to preach also, because if we are chanting 64 rounds only, then if we are doing only this, then it's a selfish life, because we are thinking about ourselves only. And Priya Prabhupada said, selfish life is a sinful life. So yeah, you can chant if you have an order like that. But at the same time, then you have to preach also, because you have to distribute what you, because by chanting you will get realization and you will read, then you have to distribute, otherwise it will become a selfish life. So you have to do additional that thing also.
Is it true that you get self-realization by chanting 64 rounds and more? Is that true or is it not true?
No, by 16 also we get. I chant 16 rounds. So I don't get realization of it. I mean, to say so many devotees on this forum. That's what I'm telling. It doesn't matter whether you're chanting 16, 64, 32, it doesn't matter. The matter is how you are chanting, with what intention and with what understanding and with what attitude, service attitude you're chanting. That's what is a main thing, what is behind chanting. So a person might be chanting 64 rounds, he might, okay, fine. Suppose if somebody is chanting 64 rounds on the instruction of Guru Maharaj, he might not advance at the same time. He might not, because there are so many devotees who are chanting 16 rounds on the instruction of Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, but they're not advancing. Everybody's not advancing. So then what's happening? So it doesn't matter 16 or 64. The matter is how they are chanting 16 rounds, whether they're hearing properly, their philosophical understanding is good, the attitude is proper, the intention is proper, they're seeing holy names in a proper way, because we might be chanting in full sense gratification and there'll be no effect at all. So all these things counts. It's not just 64 rounds. Don't be in that illusion. Or it's not just 16 rounds. It doesn't, there are so many devotees chanting 16 rounds, but they're not advancing, they're zero, they fall down. What's happening then? And there's so many devotees I've seen 64 or more, they also fall down. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada always said, try to make your philosophical concepts clear. Try to read Bhagavatam, read Gita, read Chaitanya Charitamrita, understand what you are doing, because you can chant in complete mundane platform. We all can chant. But we'll think we are chanting spiritually, but that's not spiritually, because the idea is, if we think, for example, if we think I am chanting 64 rounds, there'll be no effect. Because we know we are not chanting 64 rounds. It's by the mercy of Krishna that we are able to chant holy names. For example, I am telling you. Now, this people think. But then there are many things. When we chant, we are chanting holy names, but actually we are chanting and we are hearing. But actually, when you advance, then you are chanting and you are making Krishna hear his holy name. That's also a concept. But if you don't understand that, then everything becomes a mundane activity. It doesn't become spiritual. Then we can chant any number of rounds, nothing is going to happen.
Thank you.
So you have to understand this.
Yeah, my other question was about Vaishnava, Prad. if a devotee goes on calling other devotees and to see the reaction of the other caller devotees, they would like cuss them out. They would just to see the reaction, if the anger of a devotee is gone away. Like one devotee is calling other devotees and uksaying them to get angry, just to see the results and reactions, how they would react. Is that Vaishnava Aparadh?
Yeah, uksaying them, that's a good word. Okay. No, come on. That's nonsense. What he is doing, what that devotee is doing. He is uksaying other people. He is actually disturbing them to see whether they have anger or not. It's crazy. It's foolishness. What he is doing.
Thank you so much.
We are devotees. We are servants, We are not supposed to do all this kind of thing. This word you use, nice, uksaying them.
Thank you.
It's a good word. I'll use it later.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Tiffany Mataji, please go ahead with your question, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful class. It was so sobering, and it helped me beat my mind with the shoe this morning. I'm so grateful for your class. I just had two things. Well, the first thing is just a comment on how you ended the class. Well, you brought up again about trying to create change in our lives. And as you were saying that, my thought was that Krishna always sends us change, whether we want it or not. So, at
That's
least from my experiences.
You're right. But you know what? I'd like to interrupt here. Krishna brings changes in our life, whether we like or not, but then it delays the process. Because Krishna ripens the fruit on the tree and we pluck it and we eat. But it's better that you pluck them and ripen it artificially, whatever, and then eat it. It's better you do the fast thing. Otherwise, that fruit might become ripened and then it falls down and get destroyed or something, whatnot. So to hasten the process, because we don't have time, that's the whole point. There's no time. Tomorrow we can die. I mean to say we forget this, but there's absolutely no time. So it's better to do things. I mean to say there's something called catalysis. So we put enzyme and we catalyze the reaction. Reaction will anyway happen. But if you catalyze and if you hasten the process, that's good. So I think in that line I was talking. But your statement is okay. That's good. But you know what? My realization is it's good to bring change ourselves, because Krishna brings change, then time is up. Who knows when he's going to bring change, what is going to happen? Because you know what, one thing, actually it's a good point, because Krishna sends change, but at the same time, he will see how much we can take it. That's also one thing. And how much we are willing for it. Otherwise, he will not force change on us. So we can spend whole life without change, and then we can think Krishna didn't send me change. And then we'll ask Krishna, why did I do that? Krishna said, you didn't want, so I don't want to force anything. So there are factors there. So better by our will, we change ourselves. We bring changes in our life by our will. And then Krishna sees that, oh, he wants to change his life. Okay, now I will personally change his life. Then the magic is going to start.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And then the next thing I wanted to ask you about is, I loved when you brought up that quote by Bhaktisiddhanta about being a gentleman externally and internally being a renunciate. And my question about that is, when we do reach that stage, it's so difficult to deal with the outside world. It's so hard to, you don't even want to have anything to do with it. You just don't even want to interact with people and things like that.
Yeah.
And so my question is, well, I have two questions with that. One is that, does that go away? And the other one is that really just coming from a sense of false ego?
Actually, you know what? You see, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you a secret. I don't know whether it's secret for you or not, but at least it was for me. You see, a good life is a life full of contradictions. A bad life is a simple life. So any life which is full of contradictions, that makes life good and a great life. And that's what Krishna is, by the way. Why we call Krishna great and nice? Because he's full of contradictions. He's great, at the same time he's playing with gopis. He's all powerful, at the same time he's raising the slippers of Nand Baba. So anytime if you want to lead a good life, you bring contradictions in your life. If everything is straightforward, that means there is a danger somewhere. It's a warning sign. Everything is straightforward. We are in a problem, big problem. Or we are leading a very average life and we'll not achieve Krishna, because Krishna will like to associate with exceptional people because he's exceptional. He doesn't want to make friends with average people. He's an exceptional person. He wants exceptional devotees. That's why all his parshadas are eternally liberated. He doesn't want to make friends with conditioned people. So that's the point. So now your question comes, dealing with material people. Now we, of course, internally we don't want to deal with materialistic people. We don't like to deal with them. They're nonsense, they're crap. But here's the point. But still you deal with them. And that will bring contradiction in your life. Because what will happen is, if we have this sentiment and we don't deal with them, then what will happen is we'll actually isolate ourselves in a secure environment. And security is good, but too much security is really bad because that makes you in alert. It makes you in alert because you're safe. So associating with materialistic people will always make you remember that you're not safe. Will always make you remember that this word is a nonsense word. Otherwise, we tend to forget. That's why people who remain in spiritual association, who don't preach, that's why devotees who don't preach, I mean to say, because in preaching you come in association with materialistic people, they fall down ultimately. They don't, or they don't elevate because they become an alert. And at the same time, it's not the question of in alertness. At the same time, when you associate with outside people, what is going to happen? Of course, association with knowledge and with this hate in your heart. It's not with the liking in your heart, with the hate that these are, I don't want to do that. But still you associate, then you learn so many things. That brings learning in your life. For example, it actually develops good qualities in your life. Why? Because you might think, okay, if you don't associate with bad people, these nonsense people, will develop good qualities. You might develop, but you will not develop a full-blown good qualities, because when you associate with them, what happens is you're associating with intolerance. You're not associating with people, you're associating with bad qualities, intolerance. You're associating with uncleanliness. So when you associate with intolerant people, then you become tolerant. Am I right? You don't develop tolerance if everybody's tolerant around you. If everybody's intolerant, then you develop tolerance. So actually they are helping you to become tolerant. So when we see them, they're so intolerant people and their views, they speak something, then we have to keep calm. Okay, I don't want to speak anything to them, because if I speak anything to them, then actually they'll become more offensive, or they'll speak something, it will harm them, they'll not accept Krishna consciousness, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So we have to tolerate for their benefit. So you see, you develop a quality of tolerance, and not just a quality of tolerance. The quality of tolerance you can also develop by being somewhere in a chaotic situation, or maybe in a temple where there is all problems, but you're tolerating. But that kind of tolerance is different, because there you will tolerate. If suppose in a temple something bad is happening, some chaos, and you're tolerating, okay, But that tolerance is because you want to benefit yourself. Okay, I will tolerate and I'll do my spirituality. And I'll not do Vaishnava offense. But outside, when you tolerate, you're tolerating so that he's benefited or she's benefited. Because if I tolerate, if I don't speak, then he will be open to Krishna consciousness. If I speak something, then he will never hear Krishna consciousness. You see the point? So there are different kinds of tolerance. So there's a lot of dynamics there. So we have hate in our heart, but nevertheless we associate because there's a lot of learning there. And that's why Krishna made this material world. Krishna made this material. Of course, when we become Paramahams, then automatically we are in ecstasy, we are somewhere, we're not associating with them. And that's why Prabhupada said preaching is all about associating with materialistic people. And if that art we don't know, then we'll not be able even to preach properly. We'll not be able to even preach because then we can't associate. Because to preach, you have to make friends. That's the first thing. If you don't make friends, nobody's going to listen to us. Am I right? That's the first thing, especially in the West. So nobody is going to listen. So that art, if we know, then we'll advance. We will advance rapidly. If we don't know, okay, we will advance, but it's slow advancement. And it's also full of probably dangers because it will become extra secure environment and we lose alertness. So all these factors has to be considered. I mean to say, we can't put simply this answer, but all these factors has to be considered. But what I can say is always find a path which is having contradictions. Don't lead us straight forward. Associate or not associate, that's not the right answer.
Okay.
No answer in life is black and white. All life is always in gray zone. It's never black and white. Just like our relationship with people, is it good or bad? Well, it's not exactly really good and it's not exactly really bad. It's okay. Most of the relationships are like that. So if somebody asks us, can you tick mark your relationship with your friend? It's very nice or very bad. We can't do that because sometimes we have fights, sometimes we don't have fights, sometimes there is problems and then become friends. So it's always in gray zone. Nothing in life is 1 or 0. I mean to say 1 or 0 means a machine. That's a computer. Human is not like that. So we have, for the same phenomena, we have happiness. For the same phenomena, we have sorrow. We have both mixed feelings always, mixed thoughts, mixed life, mixed behavior, mixed actions. And that mixture brings rasa. Otherwise, will become bored. And that's why people who leave everything, don't preach, who go sit in Vrindavan and do bhajan, they fall down. There's no taste. There's no challenge.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
They fall down. So yeah, so I think that's my answer.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing that secret and for the lesson. Okay. And also thank you very much for bringing up that point about isolation, because that's something that is a little scary to me sometimes too. I really appreciate that. And I'll try and just, I'm sorry, I know we're getting late and I see more hands up, but I just wanted to also address the issue of, how do we make sure that it's not just coming from the false ego, that sense of wanting to separate ourselves,
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. To live isolated, that's coming from false ego.
Okay.
That's absolutely false ego. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada always said, to lead a lonely life, not associate with anybody, that's absolutely mundane platform. Because that's selfish. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's selfishness. I'll be alone. And selfishness means sin and false ego.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. A wonderful class. I'm always so grateful for your association. It's so helpful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it's already 8:52. Do you have some more time to take questions? There are 3 more hands raised. If not, we can share
I
your
think we can-
email ID so that they can mail you.
I think you see what we can take quickly, and then just 5 minutes. I'll just answer them and finish. If you think it's okay, yeah. If you think it's okay, I'll just answer quickly. Otherwise, we can stop.
There are 4, Prabhuji. There are 4 hand raised now. Can we share your email ID, Prabhuji, on the chat box?
Yeah,
so that
fine. Do that. You decide. You're the coordinator.
Because it's already going to be 9, right?
Okay. Okay. So so you can you know my email. Can you type it here or what? Keshavanand108@gmail.com. If somebody is there, they can type KESHAVANAND 108. Why it's 108? I don't know, but it's 108. Yeah. Keshavan 108. Yeah, this is the one. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your patiently answering all these questions. Thank you for your very enlightening class today. And we are very grateful to you. We look forward to your association again in the future. Let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhuji ki jai, His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.